Well, you couldn't ask for a more beautiful fall Sunday. The first Sunday in October here in the heartland of America. Ron Rivera knows a thing or two about Chicago. Selected by the Bears in the second round back in 1984. Played 149 games in a Chicago uniform and a member of their Super Bowl 20 championship team. And of course, he was a defensive coordinator for 3 years under Lovie Smith. 53-year-old, raised in Big Sandy, Texas. Now in his 8th season as head coach of the Bears, led them to the NFC Championship game a season ago. Cam Newton has been so exciting to watch after being selected #1 out of Auburn. Won the Heisman Trophy. Led that team to a national championship.
Well, you have modest goals when you start a rookie, the least of which is this game too big for him? It's not for Cam Newton. He's shown that regardless of what his numbers say. This game's not too big for Cam Newton.
Carolina won the toss, selected to receive, so Mike Goodson stands in his own end zone. And Robbie Gould just about set to kick it away. You get the feeling this is a critical game for the Bears. Trying to get back to 500 coming off back-to-back losses.
Yeah, and both these teams get into their divisions the next 2 weeks. So obviously this is a big game. You've got to have that impetus going into the divisions.
Gould spins it away, and that's 7 yards deep in the end zone, and Goodson going to bring it out. And he crosses a 20, and we'll see where they spot it. Up to the 22-yard line. The Carolina Panthers on offense the first 2 weeks threw for over 400 yards did Cam Newton.
Yeah, it was fun to watch that, but today they're going to need their running backs, D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, get in behind this big offensive line to challenge the Bears. We said earlier, the Bears don't give up a lot of big plays. We're going to have to see some efficiency out of Cam Newton and this Carolina Panthers offense.
Early movement on the right side of that line. They'll back him up 5 yards.
Offense number 88. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the former Chicago Bear, Greg Olsen, drafted in the first round back in 2007. Was traded away to Carolina back in July. Defensively for the Bears, first 3 weeks they've gone up against the likes of Matt Ryan. In week 2, Drew Brees. And, of course, last week, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and you can't be dismissive of that. Those are pretty good quarterbacks. Different challenge today, taking on Carolina and Cam Newton.
No Chris Harris again, so Major Wright goes to strong safety. Brandon Merriweather starts at free safety. Plenty of time, and it's caught for a first down up to the 35-yard line by Steve Smith.
Well, Steve Smith has been huge for Cam Newton. This is a simple deep in route. These are the intermediate routes that they're going to have to throw today because Chicago's going to make it very tough to get deep. Steve Smith has taken care of his rookie quarterback. This guy is having a phenomenal season. If the Cam Newton needs somebody, he's going to find Steve Smith.
That is a gain on 16. And on first down, good running room for D'Angelo Williams, who picks up close to 5. Steve Smith, wow, what a start. From week 1, 8 catches, 178 yards, and after that 16-yard reception. He's now 7 yards away from becoming the Panthers' all-time leading receiver. It's been an up-and-down career, but man, when he's healthy, including that 5-yard run, as good as anybody in the league. Of course, the Panthers didn't do a lot of throwing last year. They're doing plenty of it this year.
It was great that this veteran embraced taking a rookie quarterback. Sometimes you worry about that. He's taken on himself to protect Cam Newton.
Good gain for Jonathan Stewart, and he spins his way inside the 45. Of course, this has been a non-existent Carolina Panther game for the first 3 weeks of this season. That's a gain of 16.
Well, this just goes right back to Auburn here. You're going to see this type of option. He's going to ride with a possible keep, and this is obviously something that Cam Newton's very comfortable with. Offensive coordinator Rob Chizinski is going to go in and out of these packages. He's an NFL guy. He wants to run a 2 tight end based offense, but we're going to see a sprinkling of this type of stuff that's going to stretch that Bear defense.
Take the handoff. Newton into traffic. And it looks like that went right through the hands of Legadou Nene, who only has 4 catches so far in his first year with Carolina.
And that's the type of play that's going to be tough for Cam Newton when you make that type of play fake. The good thing is you get to keep your vision downfield, but that ball was late. Had he been able to get that ball up a little earlier, Cam Newton's a big man, a little bit of a deliberate delivery, not too bad, but the timing of the two made that ball late.
D'Angelo Williams finally dragged down at the 18-yard line. Caught from behind by Charles Tillman after a gain of 26, and Williams had a grand total of 61 yards rushing in 3 games.
Well, you can see this is the 2 tight end offense I was talking about that they want to be able to run with Shockey and Olsen. Obviously, that's the tough thing for them, is that if they get too passive against this 2 tight end offense, because of the fear of the pass, they'll come downhill at you, and here this guy's just going to drag people for extra yardage.
Well, in the backfield, that's D'Angelo Williams taking the snap and the ball, and tackled at the 10 after a gain of nearly 8.
Well, the Carolina Panthers, they're showing a lot of personnel groupings and a lot of formations here. It was the Chicago Bears thought that they could shake up Cam Newton a little bit with different coverages and packages. Right now, it looks like the Carolina Panthers are shaking up the Chicago Bear defense.
Panthers have already rushed so far in this game for over 60 yards. They come in averaging 84 per contest. Now the option, and they pitch it to Jonathan Stewart, and nowhere to go, and flags litter the field. Not a good start for Greg Olsen, coming back to where he played his first 4 years.
Well, and this option to the outside that Carolina is going to run a little bit of it. This is the difficulty up at this level, Tom, is that, yeah, you better go ahead and pitch that ball, but in doing so, you're going to expose your quarterback to some hits. Plus, in Greg Olsen's defense, that takes a long time to develop in terms on the outside. That's typically where you see holding.
2nd and 13. Flag down. Touch inside the 5, but we wait on the penalty, the reception by Olsen.
Illegal formation. Offense. The tight end was covered. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
You know, it's ambitious to do what Carolina is doing, and it's great. They're challenging the Chicago Bears with their formations. This is a beautiful throw in the red zone. That is just over the top of Nick Roach. That can be a dangerous throw, but that's as accurate a throw as you're going to see. Right now, Cam Newton's getting challenged a little bit. A lot of different personnel, a lot of formations. We've already seen 2 procedure penalties. That will kill a drive if you try to do too much formationally and too much with your personnel.
Blitz coming. They set up the screen to Stewart with blockers in front. And he is caught from behind inside the 15-yard line. It's not a first down, but that picks up a pile of yards on a 2nd down screen to Stewart.
And down here in the red zone, this is where Cam Newton's history, we've already seen the option a little bit. We've already seen a little bit of the spread. This gives you a lot of latitude in the red zone. This is another dimension. This is where Cam Newton's unique abilities are going to challenge a defense in a way that they're not normally used to. This is going to be interesting to see exactly what they want to do with him down here.
Third and 4. Looking to the corner. And just beyond the reach of Brandon LaFell. It looked like LaFell lost his footing. cutting back to the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, you can see here he slips just a little bit. The timing on this was actually very good. See how he rounded it and then slipped just a little bit? Cam Newton had to throw that to an area. That was an excellent throw by the rookie quarterback. Brendan LaFell just slipping a little bit as he rounded the corner. Otherwise, it would have been a touchdown.
Call this a 29-yard field goal try by Olindo Mare in his first season with Carolina. Good snap, good hold, and what a very impressive opening drive for the Carolina Panthers. 3-0 Carolina.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Join the NFL's A Crucial Catch campaign in the fight against breast cancer. Visit NFL.com/auction to bid now on authentic game-worn NFL pink products. All proceeds benefit the American Cancer Society. Of course, the Bears have been selling real Bears fans wear pink t-shirts. All the proceeds benefiting breast cancer charities. Always dangerous. Devin Hester hoping for a chance, and he's not going to get it. So Jay Cutler and the Bears get it on offense, trailing 3-0 when we return.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Downtown Chicago along the Chicago River. Well, what a spectacular city it is. Jay Cutler in his third year as a Bears quarterback took him to the NFC Championship game a year ago. They're trying to get this running game cranked up today, and that generally means Matt Forte. And he carries for close to 5 on first down. As you take a look at Chicago offensively, Chris Spencer starts at right guard.
Well, we've talked about a bunch that they need to run the ball. Watch for Dane Sanzenbacher, the rookie out of Ohio State. He is fast becoming the go-to guy for Jay Cutler, particularly on third down.
Second and 5. They're running again to Forte. Across midfield. All the way down to the 30.
Well, boy, this is just what the doctor ordered here. This is an athletic offensive line in Chicago, which means you should be good at getting to that second level. I want you to watch as the line works their way up to that linebacker level. If you get a hat on a hat like that, Matt Forte can make you pay, because once he gets into the second level, this guy is as good as there is. This is just the kind of big play in the running game Chicago needs to jumpstart their running attack.
Of course, last year, Forte, 166 rushing yards against Carolina. The Bears in that game ran for 218. First carry is a Bear for Marion Barber, and he's inside the 20. Close to another first down. Barber inactive the first 3 weeks with a calf injury. In his first game with Chicago after 6 seasons in Dallas. Carolina defense already without 2 starting linebackers, John Beeson and Thomas Davis, out for the year.
Well, this is kind of a no-name group, but one name that Chicago should be aware of is Charles Johnson on the outside. He can put a pass rush on him. He's already got 3 sacks on the year.
Little delay to Barber. And picks up maybe a yard. Of course, last week against Green Bay, the Bears called 9 running plays. They wound up with 12 rushes for 13 yards. The fewest in a game going back to 1960.
Well, I think Mike Martz may be sending a message here is, you know what, I hear you. I'm tired of hearing it. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran this thing, if he could, all the way down into the end zone. We may not see a pass in this series as long as it's successful.
Return to the 8, first and goal, Chicago.
And the Bears, I tell you what, Mike Martz has got to love what he's seeing in the offensive line. They are getting into that second level that I talked about. That's so important. Mike Martz He wants to run the ball. He knows how important that is. You can only do what your team's going to allow you to do. If they continue to block like this, we're going to see a whole bunch of runs this game.
Forte met by Dan Connor, the middle linebacker, after a 1-yard pickup.
Well, and the thing that helps this the most, beyond blocking well and pass protection, run the ball. Obviously, the ability to play action fake, which is really your best protections, comes off your ability to run the ball. If you can't run the ball, you can't play action fake. Now you're doing your normal 3, 5, 7-step drops. That's where you're vulnerable in the passing game. This is going to lend itself very well to the passing game later on.
Forte lost his footing after initially getting a handoff and then gets back to the line of scrimmage. So now a 3rd and goal, and do we see the first throw of the afternoon for Jay Cutler as Roy Williams, Sam Hurd, and Dane Sanzenbacher come in.
Well, I think we're going to see him spread it out, obviously. Sanzenbacher and the tight end Kellen Davis. He only had 1 reception last week, but was for a 32-yard touchdown. He's the biggest physical mismatch he has on the field. They're emptying out the backfield here. Unless they run a quarterback draw, we're going to see a pass. I'd look for Sanzenbacher or for Davis.
Well, it's quarterback draw. All right, Brian Billick, what are you doing now? You've run it so effectively. It's 4th and goal at the 1-yard line.
No, you got to take the points here. I love the mentality. Look, we brought it all the way down here. Let's go for it. But you don't want your offense to walk off the field without points after putting a drive like that. Maybe the second drive you go for it. The first one you take the points.
So Robbie Gould from 20 yards out. A perfect 6 for 6 to start the year. Make it 7-7. So each team doing it on the ground, which they haven't done so far this year.
This game is sponsored by Verizon 4G LTE, built so you can rule the air. By DirecTV, this season NFL Sunday Ticket is included when you switch. And by Chase, don't get shortchanged. Get your cash back with Chase Freedom.
Right along the lakefront, Shedd Aquarium, and right next door, Soldier Field in Chicago. Bears running it 9 times after calling 9 rushing plays the entire week last week against Green Bay. Ultimately leading to a game-tying field goal by Robbie Gould. Goodson's going to bring it out again. And again, he gets beyond the 20, up to the 24. So now Cam Newton and company will get back to it for a second time. Late flag came in.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 45. Half the distance to the goal. First down, timeout.
That takes away a pretty good return after the penalty against Jerome. Very good start for that much maligned offensive front for the Bears.
Yeah, you can't see him, but tucked in there, Mike Tice, their offensive line coach, tell him right now, guys, just keep doing that.
From their own 6. D'Angelo Williams for a couple of yards. And let's welcome a third member of our broadcast team along the sideline today, Laura Oakman. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Tom. You just talked about that much maligned offensive line of the Bears. Already it's getting worse. Chris Spencer, Bears center, questionable right now with a hand.
For Spencer, added to the starting lineup for the first time this year, replacing Lance Lewis. And now Spencer already hurt. They brought him in during the offseason from Seattle. Newton able to get it away under heavy pressure from Peppers and Briggs. Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Well, Matthew Stafford threw a pick on the Lions opening drive. Cowboys take it and turn it into a touchdown. Nice catch by Des Bryant from Tony Romo. 25 yards on the score and a 7-0 Cowboy lead. Tom and Brian.
Big test right there, Kurt, for Detroit, going to Dallas. Third down and 8. It's intercepted. DJ Moore to the end zone.
Well, Brian Urlacher told us, hey, if this is what we need to do defensively to get us started, hey, if we got to score, we'll score. This one isn't on Cam Newton. Ball obviously a little bit high, but catchable. You hate those high balls because typically they get tipped just like that. And you hate to see that for the young quarterback because now all of a sudden he can sit down in the end zone seeing a Bear standing there with a touchdown.
DJ Moore got significant playing time for the first time last year at 4 interceptions. And this tip ball lands in his arms and he finds the end zone. 10-3 Chicago. DJ Moore, the second time in his career, he's returned an interception for a touchdown. Did it against Washington when we were here last year. This time Carolina will get it at the 20.
Well, I want you to watch this. Briggs is on the outside. He's come twice, and now he's dropped. They felt like they could change things up against Cam Newton. You can see right here, this guy is covered. Now, maybe if he brings the ball a little lower, but you got Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs on either side. Briggs got his hand on the ball that led to obviously the tip ball. And right now, Mike Shula is telling Cam Newton, look, you're going to throw a ball like that, you got to keep it low, make the receiver earn his money, and dig the thing out. Don't throw the ball high.
First down throw, and a catch made by Legadou Nene, who came over from San Diego after being let go by the Chargers.
The Bears were a very confident group when we visited with them, Tom, about what they could do to give different looks to Cam Newton, bringing the safeties down. The Bears, they're labeled as a Tampa 2, cover 2. They're not. They're not in that much. They're primarily a zone team, but they have a lot more looks than just a standard Tampa 2, and Cam Newton's going to see them all day today.
Wide receiver screen to Smith, and that extra effort got him very close to a first down. Depending on the spot, it looks like he has enough for a Carolina first down, but we wait to see where they put it down. Let's go downstairs to Laura Oakman.
More on Brian Urlacher and talking about all these coverages the Bears defense was looking at to show Cam. He told me we're not trying to trick him. We don't have to do that. Cam Newton has never seen a defense as fast, as physical, or as athletic as ours. He said we're going to hit him. That is our trick.
Timeout called by Chicago. The ball was spotted about 6 inches short of a first down.
And Cam Newton he's a little bit different. Even though he's a big man, he's a little bit different than Josh Freeman. Here you're going to see him. He is the camshaft now. This guy's an impressive athlete. What Brian Urlacher is referring to, he's not as big and physical as, say, the Josh Freeman that we saw last week, where, boy, you got to get that arm pinned down. But he is very athletic, and this guy can hurt you if you let him get outside the body of the defense.
Newton, one of 3 NFL quarterbacks this season to throw for better than 1,000 yards, joining Tom Brady and Drew Brees. How ironic it is that in the 2 games he threw over 400, they lost. Last week he throws for $158 and they win.
Yeah, and that was an important lesson, that he doesn't have to carry this team on his back. But you know what? The more this guy throws, the better it's going to be for the Carolina Panthers long term. Because the only mistakes you can call your own, those are what you're going to learn from, and he needs a lot to learn.
3rd and a yard. Newton's going to run it. He's got a first down. And then some. But when you see this guy on television, it's one thing. When you see him in person, it is quite a different animal. 6'5", 248 pounds.
And he's a lot faster than you think. A lot of people say, well, this guy's not a real fast guy. That's because he's so long-legged, it's deceptive. He has more speed, not Michael Vick speed, don't get me wrong, but he has more speed to get around the edge like that, to get away from defenders than you think. He's such a long, graceful athlete.
Jonathan Stewart with a gain of close to 4.
Well,
all right, Coach Brian Billick, how about a scouting report overall on this young man?
Well, here was the book on Cam Newton when he came out. Obviously a very live arm. This is a very intelligent player. What's important to know about him, he knows he doesn't know everything. That's big, and he handles adversity. Who was under more of a spotlight over the last 2 years than Cam Newton? And I thought he's handled that very, very well. This game on and off the field is not too big for him.
Play fake to Stewart. All day to throw. And now looking to a wide open Smith. And he's down to the 1-yard line. Of all the players of the Carolina Panthers, how is that guy left alone?
Well, what do we see? It has to be busted coverage. We've seen more busted coverages. I don't know what drew the free safety, and we just saw him disappear out of the lane. But if I got Steve Smith running down the rail on the outside, I believe I would head to that outside. The corner got betrayed here, Jennings, because he thought he had help over the top.
Smith has just become the Panthers' all-time leading receiver, over 9,300 career yards. Newton denied the end zone on 1st and goal. Smith passes the former Panther and Chicago Bear, Muhsin Muhammad, a new team record in receiving yards. That's the end of the first quarter, 10-3 Chicago. Fox NFL Sunday continues in a moment. Second down and goal for Carolina. After the 53-yard completion to Steve Smith. Newton rolling. Touchdown. Third rushing touchdown this season for the rookie out of Auburn, and a point after away from tying the game.
And this is the speed, the subtle speed, and look at the length of this guy. Those are long arms. He crosses the goal line inside the pylon with those long reaching arms of his. Touchdown. You don't have to have possession there because this wasn't a catch. The ball can come out once you cross that line of the touchdown. That's the speed and the longness I'm talking about with Cam Newton. That's that added dimension.
Now Murray, and a point after ties, a game at 10. Well, there's a lot going on here through a quarter and 5 seconds in the Windy City.
Game is sponsored by Sprint. All football, no limits. Only from Sprint. By the Chevy Silverado HD, Motor Trend's 2011 Truck of the Year. And by Triple Hops Brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness.
10-10 ball game. 5 seconds into the second quarter here in Chicago. 3 catches, 71 yards. And the new franchise record holder in receiving yards is Steve Smith. Kevin Hester is going to bring it out. Thought about it. And he to the outside. One man to beat, and he's run out of bounds by the kicker, Mare, at the 35, and Mare is screaming for a penalty on Hester, saying he grabbed his face mask. Hester, of course, the all-time NFL record holder for combined kick returns for touchdowns.
And it's this delay that's giving coverage teams such a tough time. Is he coming out? Is he coming out? Do I keep my lane integrity? Can I now shut it down? And then all of a sudden they get bunched in, and that's not a good sign. You don't want your kicker having to be the guy to stop Devin Hester.
Quickly to the line of scrimmage, they give it to Forte. And Connor there to meet him after a gain of 4.
He's not sure, and then now he turns on those jets. He collapses the coverage, and there's not too many people better than Devin Hester that can go laterally on the field to get away from that bunched up coverage. He's going to catch some grief for letting Amari run him out of bounds, but still, he's done a nice job setting up this Bear offense on a short field now.
Hester 4 kickoff returns for touchdowns in his career during the regular season, and had that opening kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Roy Williams, his first catch since week 1. He was inactive the second game, did not catch a pass last week, and that's a first down. Of course, baseball into the postseason. Unbelievable week of drama. 4 teams remain in the American League. 2 will move on, and that's where it starts with Fox. Postseason coverage of the ALCS starts Saturday. Game 1, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on Fox. Forte untouched to the end zone. Three plays after the big return by Hester.
Now I want you to see right here, once we start, stop the ball right there. Okay, they've been running inside here. Look how bunched up Carolina is. This is what they've been setting up with the inside runs, and then popping it to the outside.
So now Gold to put Chicago back in front, 17-10. Hester, the 73-yard return, capped off from a 17-yard touchdown by Forte. Matt Forte, the 17-yard touchdown. First rushing touchdown of the season by the Bears. All set up by that big return from Hester. So now Carolina to get it back. And Goodson loses a football. It's in the field of play. He's got to bring it out, and manages to make it a respectable return close to the 20. That's looking straight into the sun from that end of the field on kicks and punts.
Yeah, and this early in the season, you always have to worry about that here in Chicago. They look at him squint right there. That's a lot to deal with. Right now, I guarantee you, all he sees is a dark spot in the sky. He had no idea where the ball was. Of course, I always told him, just catch the dark spot then.
Not even 2 minutes into the second quarter, and already a 17-10 game. Newton on first down. Flyman in the air to get it on the far sideline. That is a catch, or at least they're saying catch right now. No, they're not. Incomplete. That looked like a good throw.
Very smooth, right on target. The key is, does he have control through the process? Well, it looks like, losing it at the end, he's going to have to take that all the way for that to be ruled a catch. Not even a challenge on that one.
Broken up by Charles Tillman. You and I were talking last night. He has had a rock-solid career here in Chicago.
And you don't hear a lot about the Chicago corners. Why? Because they supposedly play a lot of cover 2. You don't hear a lot about cover 2 corners.
Good play by Donijay, wrapping up D'Angelo Williams. 3rd down and 8 upcoming. Well, coming up in November, Fox Sports steps into the Octagon, an epic heavyweight title fight. It'll be Junior Dos Santos squaring off with undefeated world champion Cain Velasquez. Saturday, November the 12th on Fox. Third and 8. Brandon LaFell caught it and then fell at the 25.
And not that he was going to get it anywhere, but the accuracy of Cam Newton there, that's where it costs you a little bit. A little bit of a high throw. In that kind of throw, you got to put it someplace where the receiver can catch the ball, turn quickly, and try to get the first down with his legs. That lack of accuracy is evidenced by Cam Newton being a rookie right now.
Saw that note, 10 punt returns for touchdowns, and this one returnable for Hester. Into the open field, and this will be a record for Devin Hester. No penalty flag, 69 yards.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the receiving team, illegal demonstration. The touchdown counts. 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
So that breaks the all-time record that Hester shared with Eric Metcalf for most punt returns for touchdowns in NFL history. Bears have scored 14 points in less than 2.5 minutes. And it makes it easy when you have a guy like Hester returning kicks or punts.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet Volt. It's more car than electric.
They're excited here in Chicago, and why not? It's been a huge day already in the return game for Devin Hester. And that last punt return for a touchdown, a record setter in league history. And now Goodson from the 10. And the Panthers are going to have good field position this time, up close to the 37. Let's go back to the punt. First of all, by Jason Baker.
Well, first I wonder why he's doing this backwards rugby punt style. Normally that type of kick with the nose down, you do much further down the field to get the backspin. I don't know why he's trying to do it there. And here now, this is just poor tackling. Right as Devin Hester, stop right there. You've got him pinned in, but you missed the tackle. Williams should have taken him down there. That's just poor tackling and great speed and explosion by Devin Hester.
So it was a 10-10 game, a couple of big returns, one leading to a touchdown, the other was a touchdown, and a 14-point lead, and look who's open. And what a lick delivered by Merriweather, and right back on his feet is Smith.
Well, that's a heck of a throw, and great faith by Smith and his young quarterback, knowing that the ball's going to get there so as not to take the big hit, and even with it, he takes the shot from Merriweather. Knowing that thing's coming now.
All the way down to the 37, and they hand it to D'Angelo Williams, and he picks up close to 3.
Let's remember how Carolina started out the game and drove down the field. They ran the ball very effectively. I'd like to see him get back to some more of that straight downhill stuff. They seem to have now fallen back in love with spreading it out. I'd look for them to come back into their 2 tight end alignment and do a little more of the conventional stuff. Get in and out of the other stuff. You don't want to rely on it too exclusively. And now they've got the 2 tight ends in.
Well, they ran for over 100 yards in a game as a team for the first time last week. Play action this time, and Newton in trouble. And somehow gets away. He'll carry for a first down and step out of bounds at the 21. Big pressure by Matt Toina, but somehow, some way, one of the biggest men on the field got out of this.
And that's why when you run these stunts, they brought some pressure. You've got to have that presence in the middle. Here they had it. They just weren't able to finish it off. This is a big, strong man. Now, the Packers told us they weren't as worried about the strength of this guy getting him down, but clearly they weren't able to get him down there. They got hands on him, and now that long speed we talked about allows him to stay healthy and upright.
Bad exchange. And Newton able to cover it up. That's his 2-time Pro Bowl center underneath him there, and Ryan Khalil.
And he talked about the relationship with Khalil. That has been huge for Cam Newton because this guy can make all the line calls. They don't have Cam Newton identifying the Mike linebacker, shifting the line protections the way some quarterbacks. That will come. He'll get to that, but they can allow him that progression because Ryan Khalil is such a veteran and can control that for the young Cam Newton.
Jeremy Shockey, his first catch of the afternoon. And the former Giant and the former Saint has a first down to the 10-yard line. What a career Shockey has had. 4-time Pro Bowler, 520 catch of his career.
The tight end is a quarterback's best friend. He's got 2 big ones in Greg Olsen and Shockey. They can beat you not only with their legs, but just their size. You can put it in the area, and that size matchup that they'll have with a safety or that nickel back or even a linebacker favors these athletic tight ends.
You heard Newton clapping his hands, trying to tell Khalil.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
The play clock was winding down.
Yeah, he knew right now. He could see the clock. Khalil can't. He says, give me the ball, man. I need it now. We've seen a lot of the shifting. We've seen 3 penalties now, and they had Olsen in the backfield and shifted him out to an empty alignment. That presses the young quarterback. Sometimes you got to back off that stuff to allow them to get back into a rhythm, particularly down in the red zone. Cost them there.
So first and goal from the 9 becomes first and goal from the 14. Well, they get that yardage and then some back on the quick hit to Smith, and he's down to the 6. That puts Smith over 100 yards receiving already. And boy, how the return game changes a lot of the strategy you have going into a game.
Boy, nothing changes still, even though we've diminished the return game because of kickoffs now. Nothing changes the emotional tenor of the game or changes the fortunes of the game quicker than a huge special teams play, and we've already had 2 of them.
Stewart to the 2, maybe the 1. Urlacher there on the stop.
And we've already seen it down here before for Carolina, and we talked about it. There you're just going to see Stewart pounding into the line. The dimension that Cam Newton gives you, we've already seen him bootleg out and score outside the edge of the defense. The ability down here, if they choose to run a little of that speed option, to bootleg him and get him outside. Here they're spreading it out, but that doesn't mean he's not going to fake it and try to get outside the perimeter of the defense with a design quarterback run.
That's what he's going to do. And he gets to the end zone. That's a touchdown for Newton. Good call, Coach Brian Billick. Right behind Khalil.
There's some hitting going on in there. But as I said, this guy gives you a lot of options that are new to this league, quite frankly. And the combination of this guy's abilities, not only as a quarterback, but to get around the edge of a defense. And Rob Chizinski, the offensive coordinator, told us, you know, I got to get used to this guy. And not just this guy, I got to get used to this style of play. I'm a 2 tight end offense kind of guy. I'm a run the ball kind of guy. I'm an NFL guy. I got to get used to dealing with an athlete who has these unique abilities.
I have a feeling he'll get used to that
real quick.
Tomorrow night, the new season of House begins with television's most brilliant doctor and lock up for his biggest mistake. But will Hard Time turn House around? An unforgettable season premiere event. House. Tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Only on Fox. Well, this time, no Devin Hester waiting back on this kickoff. Already had a big kickoff return. A punt return for a touchdown. And now it's Johnny Knox. And he'll bring it out. And a good return by Knox up to the 24-yard line. You know, Brian, you give us an idea each and every week before we start these games about where it might go, where it might not go. But as you said a minute ago, it's amazing how quickly the return game can change all that.
And you don't normally count on those kind of special teams plays. You can't go in and go, okay, we're going to get 2 of them today. But when you got Devin Hester, it's pretty much you can count on it, and you can see what it's done. It's allowed this Chicago Bear offense possibly to stay with this initial plan that they've had so far to continue to run the ball.
Cutler has only thrown 1 pass in the game. That was a 15-yard completion to Roy Williams. And here we are, well past the midway point of the second quarter.
And what we're going to see, I'm confident, is a play-action pass maybe for a big play by Chicago, because we've not seen this out of the Bear offense, and neither has Carolina. So they've got to do something to say, we got to stop this run. And the minute they do, that's where that play-action pass and the big play down the field shows up.
Run it again. And short of a first down is Forte, tripped up. Be a 3rd down and a long 2 for the Bears.
And this is the kind of 3rd down the Bears like. They have not performed well on 3rd down, but mainly because they lead the league in attempts of 3rd and 10 plus. Well, you're not going to have a good percentage there. They haven't been in these convertible 3rd downs like we're seeing here.
Already as many rushes in this game today as they had during the entire game against Green Bay. Now they'll throw it. And there's the man you talked about earlier, Dane Sanzenbacher, the undrafted free agent out of Ohio State. And he converts the first down for the Bears.
And this is just a little quick sprint out route by Sanzenbacher. Pivots and comes back out. He reminds Jay Cutler of a guy he had in Denver, Brandon Stokely. Brandon played for me in Baltimore. Sanzenbacher's got better top-end speed at the top than Brandon does, but he's got that same basketball on grass, feel for where the zones are, that niftiness, and you can see Jay Cutler, his eyes light up when we talked about him. This can be a go-to guy for him, particularly in critical situations.
Cutler sacked for the first time today, the 15th time this year. And that's Charles Johnson, who now has 4 sacks already this year. He bait Frank Omiel.
Yeah, and Omiel got caught too far inside. This was after a play fake. At this point, the hesitation's outside. Turn your shoulders too early. You got to continue with it. He allowed Johnson to get separation now to close in on Cutler. If he just could have maintained contact, he could have run him by Cutler. Might have had a big play down the field.
Four-minute mark. Cutler back to throw. Screen to Forte, and heavy traffic. Flag is down. Forte to the Carolina 48, but they may bring this one back. They will.
Ineligible man downfield. Offense number 63. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And it's over here at the guard. Forte, this is Forte's forte, if you will. He's very good at this. And you can see the center right here. He's just too far down the field. You can do that in college ball. You can't do it here in the NFL. Fine line between how far down the field you can get. They'll give you a couple yards outside the tackle box, but not that much.
Of course, Garza won the job at center, moving over from guard, replacing the 13-year veteran Olin Kreutz. Butler just throws it away again under heavy pressure, and Johnson right on him. Last year, the Bears offense allowed a league-high 56 sacks. At the rate they were going through the first 3 weeks of this season, Cutler on pace to get sacked 75 times.
Well, but that last one was a good example of Jay Cutler minimizing the damage in terms of a lack of protection, not taking the sack, throwing the ball away. He was guilty a little bit of holding the ball too long, trying to make too much out of a play that was just dead. That was a good example of, look, I'll cut my losses here. I'll just throw the ball away.
Third and 24. They need to get to the Carolina 40, and they lay off the screen to Forte, and he's caught from behind. The Bears are punting. Carolina will get the ball back with less than 3 minutes to go until halftime, and all 3 timeouts remaining. Well, surprised they're not spending a timeout right here.
Yeah, because they're going to let that clock wind down. You might have used a timeout here because you're going to get the 2-minute warning as an extra timeout as well. This is a lot of clock that's winding down that Ron Rivera might have thought about using his timeout for.
Well, they've got another 11 seconds before they need to snap it. Monty Edwards, and again staring into that sun. Edwards brings it up to the 24-yard line. So let's go to Kurt Menefee while we have a moment to see what's coming up on the Visa halftime report.
Time report. Everybody's hard at work here, getting all the scores and the highlights ready from a busy week 4, including the Buffalo Bills trying to go to 4-0, and a big battle between the Steelers and the Texans. It's all coming up on the Visa halftime.
All right, Kurt, looking forward to that. The entire gang back in Los Angeles. 3 timeouts remain. 2:32 for Newton, and the Panthers down by a touchdown. We hung in there, and there's Smith on the crossing pattern. A couple of fakes, and he's up to midfield. What a first half for Steve Smith. What a start to this season for Smith. His 6th catch for 132 yards today. And Carolina going to let that clock go down to the 2-minute warning. 3 timeouts remaining, 2 minutes until halftime.
Steve Smith up against Tim Jennings here, and he has been reborn again with this young quarterback. Last year he had no 100-yard games receiving. He's already got 3 in this, just the 4th game, and he's on his way to another one. He has loved having this big rookie quarterback, and he's taken under his wing to help him in his maturation in the NFL.
Well, they bring Ewu off the corner along with Nick Roach, and Newton able to throw it away. 2nd down and 10 for Carolina. Ball at midfield. They have 3 timeouts left and 1:54.
And you've got lots of time here, but this is where the young Cam Newton's got to learn to manage the clock and manage the team. Got lots of time, got enough timeouts. We can take some shots to the end zone or think about a touchdown, but I'm also thinking about I'm about 20 yards away from a legitimate field goal attempt. That's got to be a priority as well.
Blitz coming, screen to Stewart. And a big gainer for him all the way down to the Chicago 30. Carolina going to rush up to the line of scrimmage. And apparently they're not going to rush up to anything. No timeout called. They're huddling up with 1:35 to go.
Yeah, 3 timeouts give you some latitude, but I'm not sure. Boy, if you're lucky enough to dial up a screen and can get it off against the pressure that the Bears just brought, this is usually the outcome, because that means there's a whole bunch of folks going at the quarterback with their back now to the ball and the ball carrier screaming down the field.
Well, they have just burned about 20 seconds since the end of that play. And Newton hit and through. And that's a nice play right there made by LaFell. That had interception written all over it for Charles Tillman. And LaFell stepped in and knocked it away.
You got to be careful when you're throwing down the field that far in the grasp, and you're exactly right. Brandon LaFell saved an interception. That's the kind of mistake you want to see a young rookie learn from. I think Cam Newton will. They're now in field goal range. I got 3 timeouts. I got all the time in the world. I don't have to force a throw anywhere with 3 timeouts still in my back pocket.
Four-man rush. Newton looking around. Riggs shoves Stewart out of bounds after a gain of 2. Clock stops under a minute.
Well, this is just taking forever. Naturally, he's going to look for Steve Smith. Not there, not there, not there. This is a long time for coverage to hold up. Nice job of forcing him to throw the ball underneath. Really didn't have anything down the field here. Again, now the key here for the young quarterback. All right, it's a 3rd and long, but I can't get sacked because now that may take me out of field goal range. Don't wait on a play to the point I risk taking points off the board or the chance to get points by getting sacked.
They're not going to get the playoff. They have to call a timeout.
Wow.
Well, this has been a suspect clock management here on this drive. Now, granted, you're talking about a rookie quarterback, but going all the way back to when Chicago punted, remember, there was 3 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. They elected not to take a timeout there. It ran down to 2:50 when they punted it. They ran one play, had a big gain, and then let the clock run down to 2 minutes.
Yeah, and depending upon what happens here, you've had 1 timeout, but you're going to go into the locker room if nothing changes here with at least 1, maybe 2 timeouts in your back pocket. They do you no good there, so I agree with you. They might have bought additional chunks of time with a timeout in either one of those situations. Now, if they can convert on their 3rd down, life's pretty good because they can go up and kill the clock, put it into the dirt, and still have whatever they want to do with their additional plays and 2 timeouts.
Right now they'd be looking at a 47-yard field goal try.
Can't force it, can't take a sack.
That's Olsen. And he runs right through a couple of former teammates and is very close to a 1st down depending on the spot.
They got to measure this one.
They're saying he's short.
Well, I'm yelling for a measurement right now if I'm a coach. And if it's that close, they got to give it to you. You can't tell me you know for sure.
And the clock is just continuing to run.
Well, and it looks like what he's doing then, he's bringing this clock down to the last possible second to call timeout. I can't believe he's not demanding a spot. I want to at least see it. But he's bringing this down to the last possible second to use his timeout to try the field goal. Which, in this instance, you're right. You don't want to give the Bears too much time after the kickoff.
They saw where the ball came out of the hand of Olsen, and that's why there was no stretch there to try and get the 1st down, although...
Well, this thing's close enough. You can ask for a measurement. That's, I find if the officials think you're short, but that's close enough. I'm screaming for a measurement at that point. But given the fact that it was short, you want to take the clock down as they've done to 11 seconds. Kick the field goal. You don't want to leave time on the board if you can, because they're obviously, if they make the field goal here, going to have to kick off. And that's the last thing I want to do if Devin Hester's back there, is give him an opportunity to put the ball in his hands one more time.
So now Olindo Mare. They will spot this at the 29, so a 39-yard field goal try, and Chicago will spend a timeout. I got to tell you, I'm still having a hard time understanding the final 3+ minutes as far as the clock management is concerned there by Carolina.
Well,
not so much not going for it on fourth down and a foot, but a little more time here, a little more time there, and perhaps you're able to navigate that whole thing a little bit differently.
And Ron Rivera, first-time head coach, is learning how to do those things, and frankly, that is a learning curve. I'll tell you, when I became a head coach, it was funny. As I would watch games, I ended up watching more for how did they handle that timeout? When did things that you don't think about when you're coordinating a position coach. I would actually watch TV copies to see how coaches handled situations, because clock management is not really something you're going to spend a lot of time with until you become a head coach.
Good snap, good hold, and Murray hammers it right down the throat. What a first half we have seen. How can you not be so impressed with Cam Newton and this Carolina Panther team, a big underdog coming on the road to take on a team that went to the NFC Championship a season ago. Of course, the big returns for Lovie Smith led to a couple of touchdowns, one directly to a touchdown.
And when you're going to look at the stat sheet in the first half and say, well, great, the Bears are running the ball pretty well, but what have they really done? Well, this is all they've had to do. They've gotten the big returns. You can't hold that against the Bear offense. I am very impressed with Cam Newton's handling the situation. This is the Chicago Bears, Tom, in Chicago. This crowd has been into it. He's handled himself very, very well. A couple throws you'd like to have back. Again, some of the motions and shifts, they've had some procedures. That's not all Cam Newton. He's handling the situation very well. Well, with Devin Hester back there, I'd think real hard about kicking the thing out of bounds. I'll take the penalty. With 6 seconds, you're not going to throw up the Hail Mary. I mean, obviously, I'm kidding here. But I don't know where you can kick this ball anywhere in the end zone that he's still not going to be a threat to take it out. That last big kickoff return he had, they pinned that in the corner, and he still brought that dude out.
It's a ground ball. It'll be fielded by Khalil Bell. And still on his feet up to the 43, and that will be the end of the first half. A very entertaining first half. Who would have believed it, that the Bears would have 24 points and Jay Cutler would be 3 for 4 in the passing game. Hester, a couple of monster returns. One on a kickoff, 73 yards. Another on a punt return for a touchdown. Steve Smith, already his third 100-yard receiving game. Fox NFL Sunday continues with the Visa halftime report coming up next. Set for the second half kickoff. Bears will get the ball. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Big story already is Devin Hester. Most teams try to kick it away from him.
Well, you're going to learn to keep it away from this guy, and you can see here, obviously, with the big returns that he's been able to get. This guy is something lethal. Again, I don't know where you kick it. This takes us to last week, kind of unique situation. Devin Hester was the decoy. You can see Johnny Knox here trailing. They brought everything to Devin Hester, even though they intended to go to Johnny Knox from the get-go. Unfortunately, this gets called back because of a penalty, but you can't blame the Green Bay Packers for going to Hester. How do you not go to Devin Hester anytime the ball's kicked into the air, whether he gets the ball or not?
Hester setting the all-time NFL record, tumbling into the end zone on that punt return in the second quarter. The 11th of his career. He came in tied for the most with Eric Metcalf. An extremely entertaining first half of football. A 4-point Chicago lead. This one is hammered and no chance for a return. Well, for more on the Bears and what they're thinking at halftime, here's Laura Oakman.
Well, Bears fans aren't the only ones surprised how much they're running the ball. Actually, Ron Rivera said he was as well, saying we're going to have to be more gap sound the second half. Stop Matt Forte, make Jay Cutler beat us with his arm offensively. He's impressed with the way his rookie is handling the Bears defense. Keep doing what they're doing. But, oh, yeah, tackle Devin Hester.
First down rush, a pickup of close to 3 for Forte. A rush for 94 yards in the first half.
Well, the Bears have stayed true to their word now. Defensively, they said, hey, if we need to score to jumpstart this game, this is what we'll do. Brian Urlacher setting up the offense, and Matt Forte. They have not run the ball, obviously, in 3 games very well. They are now, and this will help any offense, whether you want to run it or throw it. Let Devin Hester get a couple scores for you.
Forte bounces it to the outside and is thrown out of bounds by Greg Hardy, short of a first down. Let's check in again with Laura for more.
All right, when we're talking about what the Bears are doing, with the exception of special teams, Lovie said we just need to play sound football. It starts with the pass rush. He's furious about that Steve Smith play. Said we got to keep doing what we're doing, but just better.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. 3rd down and 2. Bears are 1 of 3 on 3rd down so far in the game. Only 11 of 40 on the year coming into today's game. They're going to throw it. Johnny Knox for a first down and more. Up to midfield to Johnny Knox.
Just a little crossing route to Johnny Knox. I tell you, between Knox, you're going to see Knox work across the field here. Ends up in the same spot, really, that they threw to Sanzenbacher earlier. With Knox and Hester now, you better back up, because these 2 guys have got as much speed on the outside. I don't know if we can get the ball to them, but defensively, you better back up, because they can stretch a defense, which should open it up for the tight ends and the drop-offs to Matt Forte for Cutler when he does indeed throw.
Well, they set up the screen, and Forte was knocked down before he was able to allow to catch it. This is going to be against Carolina defensively.
Yeah, he wasn't knocked down. He was mugged.
Holding, defense number 55. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Dan Connor, the middle linebacker, who replaces John Beeson.
And it's a good move by the linebacker, particularly when you sense that it's a screen, but you still can't hold defensively. It's still against the rules. You can knock the guy down. It's not pass interference, but you can't hold.
I'm having a hard time finding the hold in there.
Well, but
he knocked him off his feet.
But it was probably less of a gain than he was going to get if he caught it. So not a bad move by Connor.
He's down at the 45. Forte already up over 100 yards rushing in a game today. That's his 12th carry, now 105 rushing yards for Matt Forte. Much has been made of Forte. Was looking for a long-term contract. Going back to the start of training camp after the lockout, they never got a deal done, and apparently they're not going to talk about it till the end of the year.
And you hate it coming into the season when you have those things hanging over your head. Always told my players, there's a time for pay and there's a time for play. Now is the time for play. We'll take care of the other. And he's doing a good job not getting drawn up into it.
Good kid. Floated out there to Forte. What a nice open field tackle. Fighting off a blocker. Omar Gaither, after all those years in Philadelphia, the Charlotte native, comes up to make a play here. 3rd down upcoming.
And they got away with something here, Forte, and just what it amounted to a wide screen. Chris Williams was down the field. They've already been called for offensive lineman down the field, Robert Garza. They did not see Chris Williams was 10 yards down the field blocking when they dropped the ball off to Forte. They dodged one.
Let's get it off. 3rd down. And they floated out there off the fingertips of Sanzenbacher. That hung in the air for a long time. So now the Bears will send the punt team out.
Yeah, much like the other 3rd and short, same type of pass, just pulled away from Sanzenbacher. Jay Cutler, boy, you hate to miss those. I don't know if he's mad at himself or he's mad at Sanzenbacher, but you hate to miss on those 3rd and short yardages, particularly when you got to face as many 3rd and longs as the Bears have had to.
Monty Edwards again staring right into the bright sunshine. End over end punt. Fair catch. Clean catch. Newton and the Panthers, their first possession on offense when we return.
Bears online only at Southwest.com. By Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. By Pizza Hut. Your favorite plays deserve your favorite pizza. Your favorites, your Pizza Hut. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Carolina gets the ball for the first time here in the second half. Cam Newton, 199 yards passing. A big start in the running game. And a monster opening half for Smith. D'Angelo Williams breaks tackles on his first carry in the second half and is run out of bounds all the way up to the 28-yard line. That'll be a gain of 20 for D'Angelo Williams.
Well, Cam Newton aside, we've talked about this Carolina team is built to do this. They've got a big, physical, experienced offensive line. They got 2 first-round draft choices in their backfield with Williams and Stewart. I mean, there's very few teams that have that combination. You don't want to get too far afield of running the ball when you've got those kind of assets to do it with.
They fake the pitch, they hand it to Williams, and he's met by Urlacher, but not before a gain of 8. Williams has already run for 15 more yards. Will make it 12 more yards today than he had in 3 games combined coming in.
And the Bears pride themselves on being able to stop the run with just a standard 7-man front. If Carolina continues to do this, they're going to have to change that equation, bring the safeties down in, and like we say many times, that then is going to lead to a hard play action fake and a vertical down the field.
Stewart put the fake on Tillman, runs right by him and crosses midfield to the 47. So here you have 2 teams that have had a horrible time getting their running game started. Both of them are really built around having a good running game, and both of them have a good running game today.
Yeah, you can see the linebackers caught inside, and right there we get a great block. Now, that's one-on-one. You got to make that tackle. We had the right numbers. We had a hat on a hat. You can't let a guy get outside of you when you're the last guy on the line of scrimmage.
Williams averaging almost 10 yards a carry. Stewart averaging 8 yards a carry, and they're going to give it right back to Stewart. And he drags Briggs with him inside the 45 down to the 43-yard line.
Yeah, you don't want to get too cute here. You're having success with your 2 tight ends. You're getting downhill. I'd continue to press that aspect of it and then get to that play action fake. You can, shuffle in that spread stuff with Cam Newton if you want, but I'd rather play fake after that good downhill run that you've been getting to get you to this point. You were backed up in the shadow of your end zone a minute ago.
It's going to be against Chicago.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 94 entered the neutral zone, causing a false start by the offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
And remember, that's not a penalty unless the offensive guy moves and reacts to it. So that was a smart move on Otai's part to recognize I'm free to move here. I'm going to get a free 5 yards.
All right, Brian Billick, you go from 2nd down and 7 to 2nd and 2. Does that change your play call?
Well, this is a classic place to take a shot down the field, but Chicago knows that as well. You almost want to capitulate the down. I'll give you the 2 yards.
What is that word?
Capitulate, spelled with a K, I think.
That'll be a 1st down conversion on the give to D'Angelo Williams. That's a big word. You can't be talking over me like that.
Well, some people went to college and some people went to the University of Ohio. It's one way or the other. They didn't teach you those big words at Ohio?
Or Ohio University.
Is that, excuse me? They had the order wrong. Now, I tell you, this is a place you've been running the ball so well. I don't know that I wouldn't keep just running it right down into the end zone if I could, but this is the place for that play action fake. I don't mean to be beating a dead horse here, but now they've spread it out here. I don't know that you're going to get the same draw here.
They give it to Stewart. And he's still on his feet to the 30-yard line. And they need it close to 5.
And this is different for Chicago. They've not seen an offense like this. There's nobody else in the league that will attempt these kind of runs. I'm talking about the spread out runs that we're seeing Cam Newton orchestrate here. Very familiar to those that like college football. That takes a little getting used to. It does, because you don't see this game in and game out. And Carolina is used to it. They're more proficient with it right now than the defenses that are seeing it for the first time are in stopping it.
Well, they'll empty the backfield now. And a dart caught by Nene, and that's a first down to the 21.
And this, you can just see Nene on the outside right here. Just a simple little curl route, simple as a screwdriver. But boy, he can deliver that thing. You know, a lot of people I hear talking about Cam Newton versus a Tim Tebow. They ran the same type of offenses. Why is Cam Newton? Cam Newton's just a better quarterback. He's got a much better throwing action than a Tim Tebow does. He's got the skills to throw and be a professional quarterback from the pocket. He can just happen to do those other things as well.
That was the first pass on his drive. This will be the second on the drive. And he gets out of trouble, throws to the end zone, and that's a touchdown for Jeremy Shockey. Penalty flag down at about the 3-yard line. And an early signal says it's against Carolina.
Pass interference, offense number 80. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Jeremy Shockey.
Well, if you wondered why he got so wide open, that may be it. Shockey's going in motion here. You can see he's down the field. Just an arm over. That last little push. You know the sad thing there? I don't know that he needed it. It looked like the DB was going down anywhere. Anytime you hold your hand out away from your body, whether it's the impetus or not, it's going to get called. You can lift the elbow. You can lift the forehand. But if you show the open hand, it's typically going to get called. Yeah, you can see right here, look, and I think he's going down anyway. He barely touches him. I don't know that it was a factor, but it was an open hand push.
Well, they take away the touchdown. They back him up to the 32. Little quarterback draw for Newton. And he's to the 28. Second down upcoming.
Well, there again, just like we ended the half, you are in field goal position. Got a long way to go for a first down. Quarterback's got to be very conscious. You never want to back up once you're into field goal position. Don't find yourself holding the ball. Don't want to take a sack. But still take your shots down the field. Well, nice move by Cam Newton and a rookie. You can hear, you can see he's just going to step up. Watch, they get the hand on him. He just steps through it. He's much stronger than you think. Mistake here by Brandon LaFell. He didn't need, you're that close to a first down. You got to know where you're on the field. This isn't the end of the game or the end of the half. Why are you so anxious to get out of bounds?
Ron Rivera probably wondering the same thing. Big rushing numbers, as we talked about, for both teams. A third down here. Four-man rush. And unable to dig it out of there was Smith. Boy, that looked like a sure touchdown. But Smith unable to cradle underneath it.
And just a crossing route by Smith here. Nice low throw, but it's a safe throw. We've already seen what can happen when you throw too high in the end zone. Actually, a pretty decent throw. Smith just couldn't quite get underneath it.
That's back-to-back drives where the Panthers cannot get into the end zone. And now a 34-yard field goal try by Mare, who's hit on 2 out of 2. And this one is blocked. Denied points on that drive. It looked like Peppers got the big paw on it, the former Panther. right in the middle of that defense.
Well, this is just a miss by Mara. He's hitting this thing fat and too low. He's not that far out. He doesn't need to drive that thing. And then you watch Julius Peppers here. Watch those big old long arms. He's buried in the line and just sticks that big old paw up there and knocks it down. That's impressive.
Former North Carolina Tar Heel football player and basketball player. I'll tell you, that's impressive right there. That's a nice tackle made by Darius Butler, who's filling in for the injured Chris Gamble. 10th career block kick for Julius Peppers. They know all about that down in Carolina.
We talk about what a rare athlete Cam Newton is. Julius Peppers is maybe as rare an athlete and talent as is in this league. That size, the athleticism, the arm reach. This is an incredible player.
Butler. Oh, he threw that out there and is so lucky I wasn't taken back the other way. Let's send it back to Los Angeles to Kurt Menefee.
And we go back to Dallas, where the Cowboys are back to scoring. Tony Romo's third touchdown pass of the day to Jason Witten. Believe it or not, that's his first of the year. 27-3, Dallas rolling over the Lions. Tom and Brian.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. A dangerous flip right there by Cutler. Of course, they made changes throughout this entire game on the right side of that line. Chris Spencer was knocked out earlier. He's come back to play right guard. They've taken O'Meal out at right tackle, and Lance Lewis is playing there now. And Cutler better protection this time. And that is a first down on a catch to Johnny Knox at the 41.
And this is the thing with Cutler, you know, he gets under a lot of criticism here. Some of it justified, some of it not. This guy has eye-popping ability in terms of his ability to throw the ball. When he wants it out of his hand, he is very accurate. Now, protection's got to be there for him. Sometimes he holds the ball too long, but this guy has the physical abilities, and you just saw it right there.
Back to the ground. Anderson up to wrap up Forte after a gain of close to 3.
And this is the test to the commitment of a team's wanting to run. You don't get much on first down. Now, were you willing to come back and run the ball again on a second and long, or do you get a little nervous, feel like you got to get it all in one chunk? This play right here will be an interesting test to see if Mike Martz and the Chicago Bears truly want to continue with pressing the run.
Broken up by the captain, Captain Munnerlyn. He jarred it out of the hands of Sam Hurd. Munnerlyn replacing the longtime starter, Richard Marshall, this year. And you can't time it better than that.
No, perfect timing. Particularly with the sweep spot as to where you can and cannot hit. Perfect timing in hitting the receiver just as the ball got there. Just a step earlier would have been pass interference. Nice play. Another third and long. I'm sorry, another third and long for Chicago. This is the down and distance that has plagued them up to this point.
Cutler will call a timeout. 2:49 to play in the third. A 4-point Chicago lead.
Our NFL from your Verizon phone to get NFL Mobile.
Get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL to get NFL action right on your mobile phone. A third down. A little longer third down than the Bears have had today. 3rd and 8. That was jarred loose out of the hands of Devin Hester. Big hit. It looked like Sherrod Martin came in to knock it away, and Hester looks hurt.
Yeah, good physical play by the secondary back-to-back here in Carolina. Hester's coming off the field carrying his shoulder just a bit. That's got to be a concern.
Monty Edwards waits on the punt from Adam Podlash, who came over during the offseason from Jacksonville. go towards the sideline. Edwards, a former star quarterback at Appalachian State, is run out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Well, it's so nice in this day and age, after going forever without doing so, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, every sport at some point in time during a game will recognize a member of the service.
Well deserved and can't do it enough.
We certainly thank all those who have served, are serving, those that will serve. First down, and that's Shockey down the sideline. Is that a good catch? Yes, it is. What a throw by Cam Newton. What a throw.
Well, they moved Shockey out here on the outside, and they got just the matchup they wanted. They like this size matchup, and that is a beautiful throw. Great pickup by Stewart here on the corner blitz, allowing Cam Newton to get the ball off to Shockey. That took him out of the shadow of their goal line. Once again, they started the last drive back there. Now here they've been able to move it off again.
Shockey had a touchdown taken away. He was whistled for pass interference. And they come right back to the sideline. And that's LaFell, who's wrestled down by Tillman, and a flag comes in late. This might be a face mask to tack on additional yardage.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask. Defense number 33. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Just kind of that last little, anytime you see that face mask, that hand on the face mask and that little turn, really didn't get a firm grip on it, but just enough.
Well, we're so excited, we're going to tell you about it twice. You can get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL to get NFL action right on your phone. You're dialed in on that, Brian.
Oh, big time, man. You better be. Welcome to the 21st century. We're going to start getting you some of that
Who's
stuff.
in a hurry? Who's in a hurry? Well, after the penalty, Newton fires down the middle, and it's Smith. He bounces off the hit from Merriweather.
Wow.
Oh, what a game for Steve Smith.
There's just some balling going on here now. These guys, what a throw and catch. Steve Smith kind of in a skinny, widens at skinny post, comes in here, catches the ball, takes that shot. He had control of the ball. He was no longer defenseless. That's why you allow that hit. Wow, that's some toughness there.
I got to tell you, Brian Billick, having been around you for 3 years now, I know you weren't one of them, but for all those guys that were blatantly questioning Cam Newton and about his ability to play in this league, they're either the smartest guys on the planet and have a crystal ball about what's coming down the road, or I've never seen a game in my life. This guy is something to watch.
You know, and I got to be honest, you got to put me in that group, because I had some questions about Cam Newton coming out. And here was the problem. When you're in the spread offense, he threw 274 throws as a senior, where you can only take about 10 to 20% of the throws out of the spread and juxtaposition them into the NFL and say, okay, this is an NFL throw. Well, that means they had to make a decision to make this guy the #1 pick in the draft based on about 30 throws. That took some nerve, and I give Ron Rivera, Marty Herney, and that organization credit, because this guy is the real deal.
Second down. Incomplete, a little too high for Shockey.
You know, I really enjoyed visiting with Cam Newton yesterday, Tom, and he told me, I asked him, hey, are the coverages beginning to slow down for you a little bit? Are you beginning to see them a little bit more? He said, Coach, I swear those defensive guys are putting 12 and 13 guys on the field, because I look up and all I see is a bunch of bodies. It will come. He'll begin to sort out these coverages. Right now, he's just doing this on raw ability, seeing a guy and getting the ball to him.
Right now, they need to get a touchdown on this drive. They failed the last 2 times. Newton overthrows. Good coverage out there by Zachary Bowman. Well, the field goal unit, we think, is coming out to begin the 4th quarter. End of 3. Right where we were at halftime. And Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. Well, now Olindo Mare, 2 out of 3 at his last attempt from 33 yards out, blocked by Peppers.
And again, my point being that that was an awful flat kick for this far out. I don't know that he needs to drive the ball that way to get this distance.
38-yard field goal try here to make it a 1-point game. Got it away and nailed it. Well. Nearly an entire quarter to go in a 1-point game. Showed you a moment ago that Devin Hester, after that incompleted pass, was clearly favoring that left shoulder. But he's coming back there to handle this kick. Now 15 combined kick returns for touchdowns in the career of Devin Hester. 1-point game, line drive kick. That's a way to do it right there if you're Mare. Of course, Hester started Miami, and next weekend on the Fox and the FX Saturday football game of the week. Charles Davis, Gus Johnson will be in Lubbock. 25th ranked Texas A&M taking on the Red Raiders. The FX Saturday college football game of the week in high def only on FX. Check local listings for the start time in your area. It's a good look right there.
Yeah.
That orange wig. All of a sudden, that Chicago running game, which has exploded for the first time all year long over the last quarter, been slowed down a bit.
Well, and that's the patience you show in the running game. They're not all going to be big gashes. Again, I keep coming back to it. I know that, but the play action pass. It's unfortunate because Jay Cutler's made a couple play action fakes, and he's had guys down the field, but the protection has not been able to hold up. They can just keep it out, just that extra count. There's big plays to be made down the field.
Blitz coming. Cutler floats and it's intercepted. And that's Godfrey. And the first Chicago turnover on the game comes at a critical time here in the fourth quarter. It looked like Cutler just had a little too much air underneath it. He had good protection.
And watch, he can feel it collapsing around him. He hesitates, the ball's low, then he comes up late with it, and the thing just got away from him, sails over the top. Boy, that's a tough one. I don't want to take the responsibility off Cutler. He missed the pass. It's just too high. He had to keep it high over the top of the linebackers. But boy, is this just what Carolina need. This is really the first short field that Carolina's been given. They've primarily had to go to the length of the field.
Well, after the turnover, Newton going to come out throwing on first down and looking for Smith. Slightly overthrown. Excellent coverage by Tim Jennings. But still a beautifully thrown ball. I mean,
it was.
If he wasn't going to get it, no one was going to get it.
And he put it where he needed to because. And Steve Smith, I want you to watch. Well, we're a little late into it. This is that far off. Steve Smith is a master of hold you off. You think we're as far down the field as we're going to go, and then separate. He misjudged that one just a little bit. If he could have got that half more step, maybe a more catchable ball for him. But that was a good throw. Here we're back in the Wildcat.
And this is Williams. Still on his feet. And he's down to the 21-yard line. He'll be about 2 yards short of a first down.
Now, I don't want to see, they may spread this out again here, and if they do again, this is unique to Cam Newton. Whoop, wait a minute, we got a penalty here.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 70 was on the end of the line, did not report. 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's the left guard, Travell Wharton, number 70.
This is what I'm talking about. I want you to watch the route. He's to the outside. Now watch him hold him off. It's kind of like, no, we're not going any further. Here we are. And then just that last little bit of separation. He's a master at that. Misjudged it just a little bit. Underlining, that was an excellent throw by Cam Newton. Don't think because it was incompletion it wasn't. That's exactly right. This guy's as good at it as anybody in getting that last little separation on a deep route.
And now a second down or third down and 2 goes to second down and 15. Newton had his arm hit as he tried to find Olsen. So now all of a sudden you go from having the ball down to the 21-yard line on a 3rd down and 2. The penalty sends you to 3rd and 15. Right now you're out of field goal range. I mean, Murray in his career has hit from just beyond 50. But you wonder if he has that here at Soldier Field today.
Yeah, and that's got to be the priority here. You're down by 1. You're going to have somebody at the first down depth, but you better have somebody at the intermediate depth as well to get us back into a more manageable field goal.
Incomplete. Pressure that time applied by Julius Peppers. We have not called his name much today. Jordan Gross has done a nice job on him.
Now you're going to see his right up in here, Julius Peppers. Now that patented dip, long arms. He may be a little ways from the quarterback, but with those long arms, he can still get that big paw on you and affect it.
That was Otah trying to hold him off that time. So they're going to send out Murray. This will be a 52-yard field goal try. His career long on grass is 54.
This one he's going to have to drive now.
Hit it pretty good. Just short. Boy, the penalty killed him. Penalty killed him. About a yard short.
Game is sponsored by Corona Extra, who invites you to find your beach, by Burger King, where you can enjoy the flavor of soft serve in several delicious combinations, and by Universal Pictures' The Thing, in theaters October 14th.
Look from world famous Navy Pier into downtown Chicago.
You're going to see motion on the outside. The problem is, in going to motion, the end man on the line of scrimmage was an offensive lineman. I don't know whether he should have reported or whether someone misaligned formationally to where he should have been covered up. Either way, the penalty was costly.
Would have brought up a 3rd and 2. Instead, the penalty made it a 52-yard field goal try by Murray, and he came up short. Let's check in. Back in Los Angeles once again with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Lions were down 27-3 to the Cowboys, but their defense has now gotten back-to-back interception returned for touchdowns against Tony Romo. The first by Bobby Carpenter. This one 56 yards from Chris Houston. And just like that, they're back in the ballgame. 27-17 to count now. 5.5 to go in the 3rd. Tom and Brian.
All right, thank you very much, Kurt. Meanwhile, Greg Hardy is injured down on the field. We'll take a timeout. The second-year lineman out of Mississippi injured. And he's in a lot of pain over on that sideline. George Selvey. In to replace him, they run right at Selvey. And very close to a first down is Forte. He might be about a half a yard short.
Nice job on the outside by Hurd. And our line is unofficial, so obviously this is very close, but you can see right there he's stepping on the line out of bounds short of the first down marker.
But Jay Cutler looking over on the sideline saying, no, we didn't make it. There's a lot of confusion down there.
Yeah, they're going to need a timeout here because
I'm going to ask you, Brian Billick, they're booing. How does that happen? Cutler shaking his head. We'll get to it in a minute.
Is sponsored by the Ford F-150, the only truck available with EcoBoost.
3rd and a yard. What happened there, Brian Billick?
well, obviously with Mike Martz up in the booth, there's a lot of moving parts here. Are we going to get the spot? Are we going to challenge it? I got to get my personnel grouping in. Doesn't make an excuse. You got to get the call in, but there's a reason for it. You got a lot of moving parts here.
Well, they play fake the run. Boy, and there are going to be people that are not too crazy about that call. Of course, if Forte in a second effort did get the first down, then perhaps all will be forgotten. But that had a very odd look to it, and I'm not sure if Forte got there or not.
Yeah, this one's going to get second guessed. Again, great physical play. We've seen 3 plays here by the secondary of the Carolina Panthers that have kept the Chicago Bears from getting a first down, from making a catch. This is a linebacker, actually.
That's Gaither.
Yeah, good solid physical play by the back end of the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, he stopped the forward. Oh, we'll see where they spot it. Oh, baby.
What do? You
got to punt this one. You can't take the chance of something happening and putting Carolina back on a short field 20 yards away from potential game-winning or putting you ahead field goal.
They're going for it.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, you better have the right call on this one.
So far, Chicago on 4th downs this season, 0 for 2.
Now, what they could be doing, we saw it last week, Tom, they could maybe try to draw them off sides, get up there and fake the snap count. That would be a good move here to see if they could catch them.
Well, they don't need much. First down.
That's a statement play for the Chicago Bears. Simple as a screwdriver. ISO right downhill. Mano a mano. Nice job of the fullback kicking out the end. Forte covering up. They're going to make sure that ball doesn't get turned over, and his forward progress, all he needed was a couple inches.
Should be noted Frank Omiel has come back in to play right tackle, moving Chris Spencer back over to right guard. Lewis has just walked to the sideline. Forte, good pickup on first down. Forte 126 rushing yards today, and Lewis, part of that rotating offensive line, will trade up with Omiel coming right back in to play right tackle.
And that's tough on a line. Rolling in and out like that, the combinations that you've got to work together from tackle to guard, guard to center, you got guys rolling in and out, that's hard to do.
Forte. And a couple of Panther defenders run into one another, and it springs him down the sideline for a first down to the 27.
Well, they had enough bodies on the outside. They just kind of got tangled up with one another. He's in. Anderson's right here in a position. Needed to ward off that block a little bit and create that edge. Always force the ball carrier back inside where your help is. You can't let a back, any back, let alone Matt Forte, get outside the perimeter of a defense.
Marion Barber checks in for Forte. And he'll get the ball. No gain. Maybe a half a yard. Clock winding down to 10 minutes to play. It was a 24-20 Chicago lead at halftime. Carolina had a chance on its first possession of the second half, had a field goal blocked by Julius Peppers. They converted on a field goal try to get within 3 a moment ago, and then missed a 52-yard attempt.
Chicago has to be careful here as well not to get sacked if they choose to throw back out of field goal position, because obviously now you're talking about it takes a touchdown to beat you.
Ball delivered to Johnny Knox, and that's a first down to the 15.
Out here on the outside, that's a big-time throw by Jay Cutler. This is a long old throw with a wide receiver going away from you. Johnny Knox using his speed to run the DB off, turn back to the inside, and then run it down to the outside.
Forte able to fake out Anderson and pick up a couple of yards. Call it 3 down to the 12. 10th play of the drive coming up for Chicago.
Those look like first quarter numbers on Cutler to begin with. How about this? 20 rushes for 140 yards. Matt Forte last year ran for 166 yards against these guys on the day where Cutler was hurt and had a bunch of backups in there.
After leaving the game injured a moment ago, Greg Hardy back in there, steps up and makes a play. This becomes a critical third down for really both these teams. If Chicago can extend the drive, get into the end zone, you make it a two-possession game. If you hold them to a field goal, Carolina is right there.
Nope. We'll circle up the wrong man. Came back to the inside. Hit that arm's feeling better. Hardy fought that block off. This is a big play because 3 points is big because it's going to take a touchdown to beat you now. So Jay Cutler again, if they choose to throw it, got to be smart with this. You can't take points off the board, particularly if it's going to give you a touchdown differential.
Pump fake, looking around, drops it off. Forte beat a defender and appears to be very close, maybe a yard short of a first down.
Nice job climbing the pocket. Keep the ball tight, ball integrity. What I just say, can't turn the ball over. You need the 3 yards. Getting the ball into the open field for Matt Forte.
4th down and a yard, Coach. They're going again.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I appreciate the bravado. I love it. But I don't know. Those 3 points making it then, if you were to get the 3 points, a 4-point lead could be huge. I love the bravado. I love the fact that you think you're running the ball well, and they're going to have to call timeout again because they're not going to get it off.
And Jay Cutler is not happy. Well, after spending a timeout, Lovie Smith has said, nope, we're not going 4th and a yard. They send out Robbie Gould to make it a 4-point lead. Does his job. 6:41 to play. Chicago leads 27-23. Along with Super Bowl champion head coach Brian Billick, I'm Tom Brenneman. A 4-point game after the field goal a moment ago. I know ultimately you liked the decision. It's just everything that went on getting there.
Yeah, it was the right decision, but it was indecision. They had to make the decision to go for the field goal, which was correct. But now it's the communication process. Lovie Smith to Mike Martz. Mike Martz saying, am I going for it or not? Yes, you are. Okay, I got to get this personnel in. Here's a play I'm going to run. Wait a minute, do we really want to do this? Oh, I have the wrong personnel in. A lot going on there. A little bit of indecision by the Chicago Bears, but they made the right decision going for the field goal.
But of course they burned a second timeout on that drive, and the Bears are out of timeouts. This is Jordan Pugh back for the first time to receive the kickoff in the game today, and he doesn't even get back to the 20-yard line. Now following football, the Barclays Premier League returns to Fox. Arch rivals Tottenham and Arsenal, a team desperate for a win. That's following football in high def on Fox. Check local listings for the start time in your area.
All right, your little man Luke's tearing up in Cincinnati on the soccer field. Where does he go, Arsenal or Tottenham?
I think with a name like Arsenal, you got to go that direction.
Okay. I'll be his agent.
I'm just going to cheer. First hand I handed off to D'Angelo Williams. Talked about Cam Newton. Threw over 400 yards in each of his first 2 NFL starts. Last week against Jacksonville, 158 bucks. Had his first fourth quarter game-winning drive. On that final drive, 3 for 3, 47 yards. Here he has a chance again. That didn't look good right from the start. 3rd down and 8.
Well, they keep making that shift that gets either Shockey or Greg Olsen matched up on the outside. They like that size differential. Clearly that's where Cam Newton is going to go. Just had to deliver a little bit better pass. Now you're going to get this crowd into it now in this 3rd and long.
Newton is 0 for his last 6.
The Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers have attempted more 3rd and longs. They're tied for the most attempts in this situation. You don't want to be here a whole lot.
Four-man rush. What a play made by who else? Six-time Pro Bowler Lance Briggs. Stuffs Nene in his tracks, and it's 3 and out.
Well, and Lovie Smith felt like Lance Briggs was right there on the cusp of having one of those breakout impact games that he's capable of doing. In this defense, you need a presence at under tackle, will linebacker, and safety. Well, they've got it at the will linebacker in Lance Briggs.
And now the clock going down to 5:20. Hester standing and waiting on the punt. And this one is blasted by Baker. But it'll depend on the spot. This might be very good field position for Chicago. It will be, they say, the 41-yard line. Turns out to be only a 34-yard punt as he was trying to angle it out of bounds next week. Fox NFL Sunday. Some will see the Saints in Charlotte. Others the Eagles in Buffalo. Or other regional action. Beginning with a Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show. Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. You've got a good one. The Eagles and the Bills.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to Buffalo, seeing these Bills for real.
Forte carries for 20 on first down. And now the clock becoming a factor. Chicago leading by 4 and under 5 minutes to go. Captain Munnerlyn limps off the field.
Well, Chicago's made hay with that little counter move that gets them to the outside. Again, their whole game plan has been downhill, 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 then get that little counter to the outside. Been very effective for them.
Forte again. And again, pretty good yardage. Let's go back to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
If you didn't believe that Calvin Johnson was something special, check this out. The pass from Matthew Stafford into triple coverage. Johnson goes up, still pulls it down. His NFL-leading 7th touchdown reception of the year pulls the Lions to within 6. They were once down by 24. Tom and Brian.
Detroit trying to remain unbeaten. They're 3-0 for the first time since 1980. 2nd and 6 for Chicago at the 35. That is not a catch. Slightly underthrown. Had an eye on Kellen Davis, who has all the 3 receptions on the year. 3rd down.
Yeah, a little bit low for the big man. You'd prefer to have seen that high and outside. Let him use his size. I'm sure Jay Cutler would like to have that one back. Now we are 3rd and medium. You're outside the edge of field goal position now. So there again, a field goal would make it a 7-point differential. You got to get the ball out of your hands quick here. Get yourself in field goal position or get the first.
They're coming after Cutler. He gets it away. And through the fingertips of Hester, it wouldn't have been enough for a first down. So now this would be roughly a 53-yard field goal try. Do you try the field goal or do you punt it and try to make them go the length of the field?
Yeah, in this sense, well, what's your faith in your field goal kicker? My field goal kicker would come to me at the beginning of every quarter and say, this is my range. Because now's not the time to look at the guy and say, hey, can you make it now? Well, what man's going to say, oh, no, coach, I can't. I want to know in the cool calm before this situation, is it the 30? Is it the 35? Is it 33? Clearly they feel like they're outside their range. They're going to see if they can back them up with one of these reverse rugby kicks, keep it down inside the 10.
False start.
False start. Offense number 65. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And that's okay. You want a little more room anyway. That may have actually been by design, to be honest with you. Get it backed up a little bit. Give you a little bit more room to keep this thing inside the 10.
End over end punt. Monty Edwards lets it go into the end zone. 3:18 to play. Well, Chicago fails to convert on that third down. Cam Newton trots back out, having hit on 19 out of 33, 276 yards, but Newton has missed just one of his last 7, but his last completion was just a 4-yard completion.
Well, and when Cam Newton is off, it's in traditional situations. Fortunately for Carolina, this is right now in Cam Newton's wheelhouse. He's in a spread situation, 3 minutes. Everything they're doing from here, he's done a career of doing this. He's comfortable in this spread 2-minute situation.
They have all their timeouts just off the fingertips of Olsen, slightly misled.
Yeah, but that was a well-thrown ball. He was under real heat to get that ball out.
Well, some of the miscues, a touchdown denied. Shockey caught it, but he also pushed off to get there. The blocked field goal attempt, Peppers denying that field goal try at the end of the second quarter. They also had the penalty that took him out of field goal range in the third quarter.
This has got Steve Smith's time written all over it.
Blitz coming. And this time it is Olsen who makes a catch, and it's up to the 42-yard line.
And this is something Cam Newton's got to get used to. He has a lot of good athletes on this team that you can throw open. That's a term we've heard a lot of. Simply throwing to an athlete like a Greg Olsen in that area, let him come up with the ball. We've heard it referred to many times. Don't have to hit the hole in one. Get it up on the green. Just get up on the green to some of these guys and let them do their job.
Blitz coming again. Newton hanging in there. Throws and nearly intercepted by Tim Jennings. He had an eye on Nene. Almost looked like there was some indecision on whether it was Nene or whether it was Smith down the sideline.
Yeah, did he underthrow it to Smith or overthrow it to Nene? We'll never know. We've had a couple plays now where these receivers have been kind of grouped up together. They need to get their distribution down a little bit more intact. Give Cam Newton some more clear-cut options.
Play clock down to 3. They get it off. They're coming after him again. They set up the screen. Well, that's a nice job by Melton. Big fella Henry Melton.
Anytime you get a defensive lineman sensing the screen, and it's one of those, you know what, I have no idea where he is in this group. He's coming up right here on the outside. He senses right now, wait a minute, this is too good to be true. Those guys are too far down the field. I'll slow play this. Nice job by Melton recognizing the screen.
Newton being chased by Melton, being chased by the entire Bears team, and gets away. And now he'll run it. And all that for a gain of 2 yards. So that'll bring us down to the 2-minute warning. A 4th down upcoming for the Panthers, trailing by 4. Ron Rivera's made the decision. 4th down, County's going.
Yeah, they've made it tough to get to the stuff to the outside. Maybe a deep in route to Steve Smith or that tight end crossing in the middle.
Buying a little time. And Nene lost his footing. He was double covered. So with a minute 48, Chicago stands tall defensively, and they'll get the ball back. Carolina does have 3 timeouts left, so you don't stick this one in your pocket quite yet.
Yeah, and this is just a speed route to the outside with that deep corner turn up. Brandon LaFell waiting to get the ball up quickly and just kind of came underneath him. I don't know if you saw Mariota closing on him or not. Never really had much of a chance. Anytime you, Nene on the outside, anytime you sprint to one side of the field, you really do limit your options.
All right, now Jay Cutler waving Roy Williams back to the other side. You got a minute 48 left. Forte in the backfield. the 3. Ron Rivera wants a timeout, but his team in a world of trouble after that big gainer by Forte, who's over 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, it's just that outside run. Start inside, let the fullback lead to the outside. Boy, can you get a bigger hole than that? Great cut block by the fullback. Gonna like to taking this in. Boy, that underscores the Bears' commitment to the run and ability to run in this game. This should be something that the Bears can build on going forward. Remember, it was about this time last year where they made that conversion after the bye to recommit to the run. It's paid dividends today.
Career high 205 yards for Forte. Marion Barber for maybe a yard. Well, so much was made about a lack of a running game. I mean, the Bears had done virtually nothing running the football. They've run for far more yards in a game today than they've run for 3 games combined.
Well, and you know, it's been a tough week. It's been a tough couple weeks for the Bears. They've been gotten beat up about that very thing. They're not running the ball enough. They've gotten away from their formula. They've had a lot of things going on, but this has got to feel good to them. Just the fact that you know that you can do this. And this Carolina team is a good, gutty defensive team. Not the best defensive team in the league. They're going to face tougher. They get back into the division the next 2 games. Going to be a tough game for them, but they know they can build on this.
2nd and goal. They give it to Barber again. And he is into the end zone. A touchdown, Marion Barber. His first as a Bear.
Just straight downhill here. Fitting way to finish this. You can see Williams pulling, getting out in front of Barber, him muscling his way in. Chicago Bears showing a physical style of play that's commensurate with a Chicago Bear football team. This is what Chicago Bear football is supposed to be. The fans are loving this.
But Coach Billick, I have to ask you, and you know there are a lot of Bear fans. I mean, they got some great fans. And you know they're asking, why does it take 3 weeks for us to find this? And I don't say that facetiously as you look at the flip by Marion Barber. And it should be noted, that's a guy who's missed the first 3 games of the year with a calf injury.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in all seriousness, it was the same talk a year ago going into week 5 against this same Carolina team when everybody wondered, why can't the Bears run the football? Mike Martz was under serious fire then. They start this year, they run a grand total of 12 times in a game last week. Virtually no rushing at all the last 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden you go out and bust out for 250 yards rushing.
Well, let's look at the 3 previous games. They started out and had this kind of game against the Atlanta Falcons, had pretty good balance. Not this kind of productivity in the running game, but then they played the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. And here's the challenge for you. You know you got to keep up with those teams. When you're talking about Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, maybe you succumb to the idea that, look, this is going to be a track meet. Let's get our track shoes on and keep up. This type of running game helps keep you in games like that. Now, they're going to come back now, and they're going to play the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. The Detroit Lions are going to test this running game in a way that I'm not sure the Carolina Panthers can. So they're going to get a real test next week in Detroit against Ndamukong Suh and Farley in that group. We're going to see if they can hold on to the run in the same situation.
Jordan Pugh up to the 23-yard line. And I mean, we talked about the first 3 games for the Bears. They were killer games. I mean, you're taking on Atlanta, division champ, New Orleans, a year removed from winning a Super Bowl, and Green Bay, Super Bowl champs last year. Here's what's upcoming. Detroit, Minnesota, those are divisional games. At Tampa, we've seen them. That is one good team. And after an off week, you go to Philly.
Yeah, and the key there, you've got at, and at over the next month. That's something that's going to challenge his Bear team to be this physical and run the ball like that on the road.
Catch made up to the 34-yard line. And a minute 5, and Carolina trying to get the team at a line of scrimmage, trailing 34-23. Chicago defensively really stepped up when they had to today. What about Carolina looking ahead of what they have coming up for Ron Rivera?
Well, they're back in the division here early, as you can see. They've got to play those New Orleans Saints, then go on the road to Atlanta, then to come home to Washington, Minnesota. But they're going to get challenged in the division. Now that New Orleans game and Atlanta going to be interesting. Cam Newton shows he can kind of keep up with you a little bit if they choose to. Both those teams are going to challenge this Carolina defense.
Tell you one thing, you don't have to be around Ron Rivera very long to know that this Carolina Panther team is going to get things going in the right direction. Newton throws on the run. Catch made down to the 40-yard line. Clock stops on a timeout with 37 seconds left.
Well, I'm glad I got the opportunity to see Cam Newton live. I really do. Like I said before, I was a little critical of him. Not critical. I had a very strong critique of him, let's put it that way, and questioning how he was going to transition to the NFL. This is an impressive young man, and I'm going to steal a Rumsfeld line here. I'm going to lose you here. I know that. But there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and there are unknown unknowns. Well, this young man knows there are unknowns. And that's encouraging because he has the maturity to know, I don't know everything. I got a lot to learn, and I'm willing to learn it. And that has impressed me.
I might borrow that if I can remember it. Smith down to the 12-yard line. Carolina out of timeouts. So that clock continuing to run off to spike it or get a play off in a hurry. Spike it with 18 seconds remaining.
Well, and I'll tell you what, this is not dead time for Carolina. What do we talk about? Cam Newton's got to use every opportunity to learn. I know the game's lost here, but he's going to learn from this.
Our game today produced by Bob Stenner. I'd like to say happy birthday to his son Michael. Our director is Artie Kempner. Our technical producer is Bob Mueller. Technical director John Howard. Our associate directors Wayne Wilson, Yvonne Wagner. Our broadcast associate Jordan Wolf. I'd like to thank Scott Snyder, Tom Barbary up here in the booth. Pass to the end zone incomplete. We thank Eric Norton and Mike Eldridge down in the truck. And our entire Fox crew from here in Chicago.
3rd and 10 from the 12.
Well, I know Ron Rivera would like to have had a win coming back into Chicago. He's a fan favorite here. But his Carolina Panthers, a young team, played well on the road in Chicago. They'll build on this going forward, as will Lovie Smith. This is a good, solid win, particularly in the way that they run. They're going to need this type of running game going forward to get back into the playoffs and possibly back to the championship game like last year.
Renee went out of bounds. Good enough for a first down. Just outside the 1-yard line, and Merriweather's hurt.
Well, you can hear this hit.
Well, they spotted outside the 2. And it's 4th down. 8 seconds left. One-handed catch for a touchdown made by Olsen. 4 seconds remain.
And again, they're going to go for 2 here, and why not? It's not going to affect the game necessarily.
Well, you get it down, you got a chance for an onside kick.
And given the amount of time that they're going to have, but for me, again, it's put Cam Newton in another situation. You can't do it enough. You know, the normal formula is take a rookie quarterback, don't let him throw more than 25, 30 times, play good defense, run the ball. Well, you know what? Carolina's future for this season, it will be what it will be. I'd let this guy throw 50 times a game simply because the mistakes he's going to make, he will own, he will learn from it, and this Carolina Panther team will be pretty good opening week next year, far ahead of where they would have been otherwise.
Remember, they went to Olsen for the two-point conversion after that game-winning touchdown to Olsen last week. Going a little bit behind the net. All right, so we talked a lot about Carolina and Cam Newton and looking forward. Clearly, this was a game the Chicago Bears had to have to get back to 500 after back-to-back losses.
Yeah, and they've been here before. They've had the criticisms, what they're doing, throwing, running, what is that balance? Jay Cutler, I think they got better as a team together today, and clearly, now again, it is the Carolina Panthers and a developing defense, but their commitment to it, it's one of those, we've seen you do it now. There's no excuse not to stay with it in critical situations going forward. They're going to have to throw the ball a great deal more going forward, but they can hang their hat knowing that they've got what they need in place to be a solid, not a great, but a solid running team, and therefore a more complete team.
Forte, a career high 205 rushing yards.
Mike needs to calm down there a little bit. He's a little bit excited.
Total yards, a pile of them for Carolina. Of course, 2 Chicago scores. One of them a punt return for a touchdown. Another 73-yard kickoff return set up a short drive, a scoring drive. And they're going to kick it down there in hopes of covering it up, but wisely fielding and taking a knee to end it is Hester. So Lovie Smith and the Bears come away with a hard-fought 34-29 win. 205 rushing yards for Forte. 34-29 final.